This video will provide you with some details about Newton South High School speech and debate team's trip to NCFL Nationals in Washington, D.C. So, why are we going to Washington, D.C.? We're going to compete at the NCFL Grand National Speech and Debate Tournament. While we're there, we will be staying at the Embassy Suites in Washington, D.C. at 900 10th Street Northwest. Each of the suites has 2 queen beds and a pull-out sofa bed, and there will be 3 students staying in each room. We will be staying with Needham High School while they're there, so some of our students and some of their students will be sharing rooms in order to make this trip a little more economical for everybody. All of our competition locations will be within walking distance of our hotel. If you look at the picture, you'll see I've circled the Embassy Suites. That's where we're staying. Congress is going to be in 2 locations, the Renaissance Washington and the Grand Hyatt. We don't know where our students will be assigned, but they will be in one of those 2 buildings. PF, Declamation, Original Oratory, and Extemp will all be held at the Convention Center. And the remaining events, OI, DP, and Duo, will be taking place in 3 different locations. And again, we don't know where our students will be sent or our judges, but they're all within a few blocks of one another. Accompanying the group will be Josh Cohen, who is a coach, Sarah Culpepper, also a coach, and Lisa Honeyman, also a coach. And we will be joined by several parents, Rose's mom, Gloria, Kasra's mom, Paris, Mohan's parents, Ram and Radha, and Tabana Nawaz's mom, Roya. Some of those folks will be judging. Josh will be at the PFD site. Sarah and Ram will be at the OO, DEC, and Extemp site. And Gloria and Lisa will be with the remaining students at the DP Duo OI site. The schedule for competition starts on Saturday morning, with certain rounds starting as early as 7:30 in the morning. Again, we don't know which those will be yet and which of our students will be involved, but we will make sure that they get to where they need to be. There will be a break for lunch sometime between 11 and 1, depending on the events. And the last rounds will be ending around 7:30. After the last rounds finish, groups of students will go back to the hotel and meet up to go to dinner. For students who are interested in Mass, there will be an online Mass at 8 p.m., and online postings are expected to be up by 10:30 p.m. The reality, at least from past years, is that's optimistic, but they will be posted sometime after 10:30. And then on Sunday, competition will continue. Elimination rounds and play-in rounds will start at 7:30 and continue throughout the day, ending by 7, and the award ceremony will be at 7:30. And after the award ceremony, we'll go back to our hotel and we will have some dinner, which will probably be pizza. Everybody will be competing all day on Saturday. After the breaks are announced on Saturday night, some students will be excited to continue competing, and some may be disappointed because they are not. We encourage those who are disappointed to try to make the best of the situation. Support teammates if you can. Watch something fun like Duo to bring your spirits up. Watch a teammate who's still competing if they would like a friendly face in the audience. That can make a huge difference on how people do if they can make eye contact with people they know in the audience. But some people get very nervous, so check with people before you go watch them. You can watch a round of your event to see who did break and what they did well. Or you can watch a round of an event you think you might like to try next year so you can learn some more about it. On Monday, competition is over, and that is our tourist day. So we'll sleep in and have some breakfast, and then at 10 in the morning, we will split into groups, and students can choose what they'd like to do. I know there's some students interested in going to the National Gallery of Art. Several students asked to take a walk on the National Mall and see some of the many memorials. Others listed the Smithsonian Museum, and the Library of Congress is only open 2 times a year for the general public to see the reading room, and one of those days happens to be Memorial Day. So if there are people who are interested in that, we can look into doing that. At 3 o'clock, we'll retrieve our luggage from the hotel and take the metro to the airport. We'll be flying American Airlines. On Friday, please meet at the American Airlines ticketing counter at Logan. That's Terminal B, and we're going to be meeting at 7:30. Our flight departs at 9:30, and 2 hours might seem like a lot of time, but when you're traveling with a large group, it's really important to have the time. It takes a little longer to coordinate and get the ticketing done, get through security. So everybody really does need to be there at 7:30 in the morning. We are scheduled to arrive at Reagan International Airport at 11:10 a.m. And after we collect luggage and gather our group together, we will take the metro to our hotel. And we're going to be returning also on American Airlines on Monday, May 30th. Our flight leaves at 6. We're going to plan to arrive at the airport at 4. So remember, we're going to be going back to the hotel to grab our luggage and take the metro to the airport at 3. So we should be able to get there by 4. Our flight departs at 6, and we'll be arriving at 7:28. And when we do arrive, parents should plan to pick their children up at the arrivals gate. Luggage. So all travelers will receive 2 team luggage tags. Please attach one of them to your suitcase and put one on your carry-on or the bag you'll take with you to the tournament, often a backpack, briefcase, whatever it is that you'll carry. Those tags are really important because we can tell at a glance if a bag that's sitting in the waiting area is ours if we see that tag. And I can tell you from experience, there have been several times where students have left bags when they've boarded the plane. And fortunately, we've noticed and been able to grab them and bring them on for them. So that tag's really important. If you choose to check a suitcase, and you may do that, the fee is $30 each way, and American Airlines requires the use of a credit card to pay the baggage fees. If you are a student and you don't have a credit card, you can give Mrs. Honeyman cash, and then I'll put it on my credit card. Now, while we travel, there are a number of expectations that we have for our group. First off, all Newton South travelers will be courteous and respectful towards the people with whom we interact throughout the trip. And that's people at the airport, in the hotel, tournament officials, judges, other competitors. We want to be a classy group, and one way to be classy is to be courteous and respectful of others. All Newton South school rules apply while we're traveling. And of course, no illegal drug or alcohol use will be tolerated during any part of the tournament or while traveling to or from the tournament. We also request that students do not leave the hotel or tournament site without permission of a coach. It's really important that we know where you are and that you're safe. So please do not wander off. Make sure a coach knows where you are. While we are traveling, it is totally possible that the coaches will establish some rules in order to keep our students safe. If we discover, for example, that the neighborhood's not great, we may ask you not to leave the hotel unless we're in groups. We don't know what we're going to find, and so we ask that when coaches make rules while we're traveling, that the students abide by them. Students are personally responsible for paying for anything they charge to their rooms before we check out of the hotel. And it's also important that all arrangements for the team be made by a Newton South coach. So please don't trade your roommates. Please don't make separate rooming reservations for yourself. If there's a problem, please talk to a coach and we'll help you resolve it. Violation of travel rules will result in consequences that may involve suspension from the team for a period of time, forfeit of travel privileges, and or disciplinary action by the school administration, depending upon the particulars of the situation. In cases of serious violations, a student may be sent home early from a tournament at the expense of their family. Of course, we have never had a problem, so let's keep it that way. This is a famous quote by Josh Cohen: "If you are not 5 minutes early, you're late." We expect all travelers to be punctual. It's extremely important that all participants be on time for team meetings, rounds, and especially in mornings when we're trying to get everyone to their competition sites with enough time to warm up, coordinate with their partner if they have one, and find their competition rounds. This is also really important at the airport in the morning when we're flying out. Plan how much time you need to get ready in the morning and set your alarm to make that possible. Look out for your roommates, make sure they're up on time too. And it can be really helpful for roommates to talk to one another the night before and decide who's going to use the bathroom in what order, who's going to shower in what order, maybe have someone shower the night before. But you really want to make it as easy as possible for everybody to get up, do what they need to do to prepare, and get to where they need to be on time. People who are late have the potential to negatively impact everyone's experience. Please don't be that person. While we're in the hotel, please be courteous and kind to your roommates, and be considerate of hotel guests and schools who may be in our hotel. Keep your voices down, don't run through the halls. Please hang out with your teammates in your room or in public sitting areas instead of in the hallways. And no car talk in public spaces in the hotel, airport, restaurant, street, metro, etc. Remember that car talk is the talk that you would only do if you were in a car driving away from a tournament when the only people who could hear you would be people from Newton South. It's highly likely that students or coaches from other schools will be close by, and you don't want to be heard saying something maybe that would be hurtful about someone and be overheard. Now, the tournament has some COVID mandates. We are, in fact, traveling during the COVID pandemic. They are requiring universal masking of all persons when in common areas in the hotel and competition venues and in competition rooms, except when you're actively eating, drinking, or performing or presenting a speech before a judge. You are welcome to wear masks during your performance or speeches if you prefer, and you will not be penalized for doing so. And the tournament encourages you to use the KN N95 masks or the K94 masks because they are the most effective. Proof of vaccination is required. All of us have done that, all of the people traveling for Newton South, so that is not a concern for us, but you can know also that other people have had to follow this requirement. Now, if someone tests positive in our group while we're traveling, you will first of all be removed from the competition and asked to isolate in your hotel room. We will shift the rooms of students and adults around within our group to the best of our abilities to limit the exposure of healthy people to sick people. And if a student tests positive and is not able to fly home with the rest of the group, an adult will remain with them in Washington, D.C. until that student's parent or guardian can arrange to take over or to transport them home. We need that to happen within 24 hours of notification that a student is ill. And if we have to extend our reservations, then the parents or guardians of the sick children will be responsible for expenses related to additional nights in the hotel and changes to the travel arrangements for the student and the adult chaperone that has to stay with the student beyond the time planned for the trip. We are really, really hoping this won't happen. And because of that, even though airlines are not requiring masking while on planes or in airports, we are requesting that people traveling in our group wear masks in those spaces as well as on the metro, except, of course, when you're actively eating or drinking. Please help us do everything we can to keep our group healthy while on this trip. And that's it. So now is our time for questions.